Republican primary candidate Tracy Jordan for Georgia State Insurance Commissioner. Ms. Jordan, how are you this morning?
Good morning. I'm doing well, and I hope you and all of
we are. Let's just start right in. You're currently a city council member, is that correct?
I was a city council member for the city of Houston until March. I had to step down and when qualifying for this position statewide.
Okay, so you're no longer a city council member. You stepped down to run for this office.
That is correct.
Okay, now go ahead. Go ahead.
I will say I am still a pharmacist and a pharmacy owner and active in my community, even though I can no longer be a city council member.
Okay, so let's go right into why city council member all the way to the office of the insurance commissioner for the state of Georgia. Why are you seeking out this office? And just tell us.
I am seeking this office because about 10 years ago, my community encouraged me to take my passion and determination to assist others that were having issues with insurance problems to go forth across the state and represent everyone, not just those in my community. I have been encouraged to do so, and with my skill set as a pharmacist, a business owner, a realtor, and a city council person, I have a skill set that will be necessary for negotiations to find solutions that work best for everyone, not just the special interest groups.
Now, Saturday, I asked you directly Saturday if you had read the audit, and you said yes. And my word is, okay, I read the audit. That was a nice, boring read. Anyhow, those are my words. I read the audit, 23 pages or whatever. And but I am shocked after I started doing the research on this office in the state of Georgia. I am shocked by what I find in the audit. I am shocked in what I'm finding that we furloughed some of the employees, that we've had to lay off employees. This office is kind of shocking to me, the situation that it's in right now. How about you? What did you see?
I believe that we need to look over this office with a fine-tooth comb and a microscope and come up with some solutions. There are budget issues. I never believed that we need to solve a budgetary shortfall that was supposedly because of bad information by furloughing and laying off employees to solve the problems of overspending. That is simply not the answer.
Well, let me say this. Let me ask you this. Do you believe, and I'm going to say I'm pretty sure that the Public Service Commission, if you're running for Public Service Commission, you're not allowed to take money from special interest groups or people that you regulate. If elected, do you think it would be important to maybe change that also to the Insurance Commissioner's office, that you could not take campaign finance money from people you regulate?
It is my opinion that if you are taking money from special interest groups over the citizens of Georgia, that tends to get your best attention whenever there is a situation that would require mediation. We want to have a level and fair playing field, and I believe it's a conflict of interest somewhat if you're having large maxed out donations from these companies that you will be regulating. We need fairness and openness in decision makings, and unfortunately too many times if you look at the means, the motive, and the money, you find out where the problems originated.
You know, one of the articles, you find out where the problems originated. One of the articles I read concerning the audit is that the current commissioner, Ralph Hudgens, did not send his legislative liaison before session at any time to ask for more money for his office in the budget, and just took it upon himself to increase wages and move money around from one department to another. What say you? What would be the top legislative things that you would send your liaison down to the Capitol and say that you would like to have this, or what laws changed or looked at in legislation for this office?
Well, first of all, I have to say, I don't believe that the legislature should have to prop us up when we have budgetary shortfalls. We need to be able to streamline the office, work within our budget, squeeze 99 cents out of every dollar, and be as productive as possible. I would certainly encourage conversations and negotiations if expansion is causing a budgetary shortfall. And I mean expansion of necessary services, not due to raises or hiring expansions that may not be needed. We need to look at that closely. And since I am not inside the office, it's difficult for me to make a blanket statement of what I would do. But I am a business person that knows how to surround myself with experts that can give me good information. And we would look at that and determine the best policy and the best way to proceed forward.
What some people and myself we get confused. We just hear insurance commissioner. Does the insurance commissioner have the ability to regulate rates? I don't like the word regulate, but approve or disapprove insurance rates, whether it's homeowners, whether it's healthcare, whether it's car insurance, and what limitations does the insurance commissioner have in rates for the customers in Georgia?
That is one of the first issues on my platform, is that I would petition the legislature to remove the 2008 legislation that has allowed insurance companies to file their rates and use them immediately, resulting in the escalating automobile insurance premiums. We need to have that authority back in the office of the insurance commissioner, as it was prior to 2008, so that the people across the state of Georgia can be protected from any rate increases. At this point, there could be some things done, but our current commissioner has not stood up to the companies as strongly as I believe we should. We need that authority back in the insurance commissioner's office so that any rate increases are finally reviewed before passed along to the consumers. And as I said many times in public, I don't believe an insurance company has ever had to have legislative approval to lower rates for consumers.
Have you taken any money in your campaign from special interest, lobbyists, or political action committees?
No, sir, I have not. My contributions have come from the average person across the state of Georgia. Now, I do have friends that are agents and brokers that are supporting me in my mission because they're frustrated in their position. They want to have better representation across the board. They, too, are consumers, and they feel like their hands have been tied many times when they try to look after their clients. So they support me in my mission to become the next Insurance and Fire Safety Commissioner.
So you do have, I mean, I have them all up here because I'm going to talk about them a little later and throughout this week also. But so you have contributions from individual agents that, are small town. And I don't want to say that. I'm not trying to paint any kind of picture, but our small town insurance agent that's supporting you. You have some of those contributions, but not from political action committees.
You are correct.
Okay. Let me ask you this now. This is something that I did not get a straight answer, and you're the one on the line with me, so I'm not implying to our audience that you would not give me a straight answer. Okay, that's my promise. Okay, there was 3 candidates there, so I'm not saying you did not. What I could not get wrapped around is the insurance commissioner's budget, and there's not a lot of choices here. Is $21,550,000. And and that's for 2019. In 2016, it was $20,957,000. It really has not increased. It's kind of been stagnant 2017, 18, and 19. But yet, Georgia's budget goes up $1 billion a year. Now, the reason I didn't feel like I really got the answer I was looking for, you got to do something here. Okay, the current commissioner has given out raises. The current commissioner had to furlough. What happens this coming year? He had to furlough employees. He had to lay 12 or 13 off. And there was $4 million was budgeted for the personal services in the special fraud program. $3 million of that was moved over to administrative, which only left $1 million. So my question Saturday that I don't really think I got an answer to is if you move the $3 million back to special fraud services program there, then what do you do with the employees that already have raises? Do they get furloughed again next year to try to meet this budget? Because it's the same budget as last year. I mean, I guess I'm just confused at what do we do? Do we go back to the state and say we really need $3 million more, or just dig into it and see if we can make cutbacks to get everybody happy?
We need to look at that and not necessarily be shifting money from one special account to another within the office. That's a problem. And I know that the special fraud assessment fee collections had significantly exceeded expenditures during several fiscal years prior. So we need to have a streamlined plan. Look at this closely. Obviously, there's been some bad information, and people lost their jobs because of telling the incumbent that there was money to be spent. We need experts in finance to look at this and figure out what the problem is. I'm not an accountant. I am not a CPA, but I do have close friends that are those. And this would require some investigation and thorough planning for how to best manage this budget, which is not being managed well.
What is the special fraud program?
I am looking at the audit now. On page 19, the special fraud assessment fees and companies.
But isn't that an investigation? Isn't that the special fraud investigation program?
That is what it was designed to be, and we need to figure out how to best use those funds. We don't need to be shifting them for administrative fees. It needs to be used to investigate fraud on both sides, and fraud is not just from consumers. Fraud also occurs on the other side with insurance companies.
Okay, let me go to one or two more things in what short time we have left. Almost $8 million, $7,959,000, right at $7,960,000 is for fire safety. And some people do not, maybe don't know or are not aware that you would actually appoint the fire marshal. And there was a lot of questions Saturday, and I've gotten a lot of questions around the state that money has actually been moved out of fire safety budget and used elsewhere also. And there's so many fire safety jobs that are not filled, or programs that are not being, continued, so on and so forth. Have you looked at the fire safety side of it, and what are your concerns where that is?
Fire safety is crucial, and as I mentioned, we would need to look at how to best staff that. I don't believe it should be understaffed. It is absolutely crucial. We should not be moving line items from one segment of the budget to another to cover shortfalls. And I have consulted with many fire chiefs and former fire marshals, actually, that have ideas for education and streamlining and how to best make this division more effective so that we can best look after the citizens of Georgia.
The fire safety, hospitals, nursing homes, schools, courthouses, I mean, you name it. These are these elevators. These are inspections that the state is responsible for. And there's a lot of concern, but see, I keep hearing it's not just from you, Ms. Jordan. I heard from the other two candidates is there's positions that are not filled. But there's an audit that there's an overrun. There's money moved from one budget. Obviously, you're not in there. You're running for the office. There's money that seems to be moved out of one column to another column. And it's not that the money is missing. It's just being used elsewhere and not in certain areas. I mean, I know we've already talked about it, but can you give me a couple of the points in the audit that are most disturbing to you and some of the first things you would have to do, you feel you'd have to do as the new insurance commissioner if elected?
There are many items in the budget. As you mentioned, it's about 23 or 24 pages. And actually, my copy is 32 pages, excuse me. And it needs to be looked at by someone that is an expert that can streamline this budget. We cannot continually shift from one line item to another. Either it's incorrectly entered to begin with, and needs to be revamped, or we need to make sure that it's correct and use the funds appropriately. I am not an expert in this office yet, but I intend to be an expert in this office when elected, because I will take my business sense and common sense to the office, surround myself with those people that know how to streamline and fix this budgetary issue. And we cannot continue to have smoke and mirrors in government. We need to be transparent, say what we mean and mean what we say, and go forth and serve the citizens across the state of Georgia effectively. They are the ultimate consumers, and they're paying the price. We need to do the best job for these people that elect us.
Your opponents, they have an insurance background. They have a background with the fire safety division. They have a background with, Mr. Flores, Jay Flores, resigned as actual deputy director, commissioner of this office to run for the office. Mr. Beck has a background within this office. They both have worked here. I know I'm being redundant. So what say to the citizens of Georgia that, you without the experience and them with all the experience, that you could go in and do the job?
Well, the wonderful thing is that I do not have ties to the industry, so I'm not beholden to any special interest groups, and I have no bias. I come in with a clear lens and a fresh voice and a fresh perspective. And I humbly say, if both of these gentlemen have been in the office of the Insurance Commissioner, why are there problems now? Why did they not help solve them? Have they been a part of the problem is one of my questions. I am a completely fresh voice outsider that comes with it with business sense and common sense and none of their connections. I believe if I had been in their position, and especially if I had been a recent deputy, I would own up to any of the problems that might be in the office, and I would have had solutions on how to fix them other than to furlough and lay off employees.
Okay. The last thing I have this morning is obviously, you're trying to run a statewide race off of, $500 here and there on your campaign contribution. How's it going out there? Are you? How many campaign events are you hitting a day? What is Miss Jordan's game plan as far as trying to match up with some of the money in this race?
I attend many campaign events each day and each week. I typically am gone many days of the week, traveling around the state, seeing counties that I'm not familiar with and meeting wonderful people. We have been underfunded because I am an insurance industry outsider. I am not the darling of the large companies, so I don't have the maxed out contributions from those large companies. But I believe that my message resonates with the average citizen across the state far better than someone that has ties to the industry, because just like the people that I speak with as I canvass Georgia, I too have been in their positions. I have been that business owner. I have known those people in the communities that have had struggles. I've witnessed it. I've actually been in the same boat with many of these people, and they understand that I'm coming to it from a consumer perspective and that I am there to fight for them. I would much rather have 10 $100 contributors, because I have an army of 10 people that have skin in the game and a stake to see me succeed, rather than have those one maxed out contributors that are the special interest groups, because ultimately the dollars do not equal the votes. Each person casts a vote, and I believe that with the people across the state supporting me, we can go forth and make a huge difference and an impact for the better for the consumers of Georgia.
When I go to political forums, town halls, or meet the candidate, meet and greet, or Republican Party, and you know what I'm talking about, it's every night, it's election season. I go somewhere every night myself. A lot of times when there's a candidate there, or one of the questions I will hear the most in the room from the audience is, would you support us being able to purchase insurance across state lines? And some of the thought process is the current insurance commissioners in a lot of these states, they have to validate their existence, and if we sold across state lines, there wouldn't be their existence wouldn't be as important, and and there would be no need to have ties to some of these insurance companies, and they would like that. They don't want that. That's just me. I don't know. I mean, I kind of messed that up, but that's what I hear a lot. Do you hear that when you go into a lot of the rooms when people ask questions?
A lot of people do ask about competition across state lines, and I believe that is a good thing. Politicians and business owners need to check their egos at the door and do what is best for the people in the state of Georgia. And competition causes everyone to elevate their game. It makes everyone step up and do the best. And I think that the consumers will be the ultimate beneficiaries if we have more competition. Now, that being said, any company that comes into Georgia would have to be regulated and make certain that they're solvent and able to serve the needs of the people of Georgia. And they would have to follow any of our rules to the same degree, even if rules were more lax in another state. But this would bring about a positive change for the people of Georgia to have more competition, to lower rates, and get better service.
I do want to leave with one thing, because when we go to these meetings, we hear insurance rates, insurance commissioner, fire safety, but the actual office has several other departments or agencies in there. What are some of the other things that you would oversee as the insurance commissioner in this office?
It impacts everything from automobile insurance to health insurance to homeowners insurance to flood to industrial loans. There's so many ways that this office touches the lives of every person from the moment their feet hit the floor in the morning until they go to bed at night. It's a crucial part of your everyday existence, and for so long it's been overlooked. It's not a glamorous position. It's a tough job. It's one that's going to require a serious person to form some serious solutions to these problems that we've had. We need to have someone that is young enough to get in and have energy and roll up their sleeves and fight this battle to make it better, but they also need to be old enough to have some real-world experience. And I'm proud to say I've had 27 years of real-world business experience serving people in my area, and I am prepared, if the people of Georgia are willing to give me their support, I am prepared to go forward and serve the consumers across the state of Georgia with the same passion and determination as I have in my business world for 27 years.
Ms. Jordan, we appreciate you coming on, and I want to extend an apology if some of my questions were rambling a little bit. Like I said this morning, we were out of power up here in North Georgia, and we had a tough little storm night, so I'm not 100%, so my apology to you if my questions were a little confusing and around in circles. You have a great day. We appreciate you coming on, and maybe we can get you back on before actual election day on May 22nd.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me. I appreciate your questions, and I look forward to speaking with you again and sharing my message and my platform about how I can help the people of Georgia when they elect me as insurance commissioner.
Ms. Jordan, you have a great day. Thank you very much. We've been on the line with Ms. Tracy Jordan, and I apologize if I'm a little around the map. I told you, dealing with about an hour's sleep here. The deck chairs were rearranged all night long on the side porch. A nice and stormy night here in North Georgia. We're going to take a brief break, and when we come back, I want to make some brief comments. Stay with me, because I don't want to convolute my discussion with the candidate, but I want to come back and say why I think this office is a mess and what my opinion is briefly. I'm going to give you a 10-minute on why you should think this office out. I'm your host, BKP. Take us a break, Amanda.